never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day, folks. How are you? Hope you're doing all right. And your Friday has seen you get to the end of the week and go, thank God it's Friday. And your weekend is not looking too bad. Mine's looking decidedly good. Donkey's nostrils. I'm going to try that on a donkey. I brought ping pong balls. I'm going to colour some eyeballs on there. We're going to make our own eyeballs up donkey's nostrils. I'm joking. Sandy will kill me. I am at the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary, and Sandy and Baz are here. They're just that side. So hello, say hello.
Hi.
Hello.
There you go. Oh, look at Baz. He's even put on his deep voice for us. And I'll be here for the next few days. So we're going to have a pretty short show tonight because I've driven all day today to get here, and I've only just arrived, really. So I don't have a great deal to tell you tonight, other than to say those bastards in Canberra did it, as we fully expected they would. They guillotined the vote through, and now Australia will be pretty much in the hands of the WHO, the WEF, and the UN from now on, which is disgusting, really. But we could have used a bit more support in Canberra. Maybe we may not have been able to change the vote, but they certainly would have known they were going against the good people's wishes. And I'll play something shortly that will outline to you just what that decision made yesterday means for every Australian. Toxic first in the house tonight, mate. Lovely to have you in. Timmy's in as well. Some know him as Spazza. For some reason or other, all of a sudden he's starting to give us his real name. Don't know what's going on there. Lady Rider Rose, lovely to have you in. Tony, my good mate in Melbourne, marvellous man. Margot, lovely lady. We're full of lovely people here. The Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary included. May I just said, just letting you know. I've got to say that because I haven't eaten yet, and apparently there's a promise of food later, so better say the right things. Connie, I hope you and Alan are doing okay, and life, the universe, and everything in your part of the world goes well. Sunflower is listening tonight. She is painting. So rather than viewing, you're not missing much because I'm outside and you can see the vision is not terribly flash. And even if I were to remove my background, which I can do just like that, it's not really helping. You see the bright light behind me? That's the problem. So you can see Baz's caravan. I'll leave it like that for the time being. The bush tracker. Good vans. Today, I had a beautiful breakfast this morning with a lovely lady in Canberra. It was lovely to catch up, and very nice bacon and eggs, can I just say as well. Thoroughly enjoyed by myself and all others around. And then I caught up with one of our very own, Daniel, who has been a member of our family here in the chat pretty much since the get-go, I think. I've promised Daniel to pop in and see him on a couple of occasions in Canberra and just haven't had the ability to get to him, or I've just been in and out of Canberra very, very quickly. So today was the first opportunity to do that, and I've got to say, great pleasure it was. The man knows how to make a vanilla milkshake, can I tell you that? He's also pretty good with a greenish type thumb. And has a great deal of knowledge on the things that you throw into a garden and can be helpful to you. So it's wonderful to have such libraries of information in so many different areas from our family here. And if you ever need to know what to do with donkey poo, we can help you with that too. There's many great things you can do with donkey poo. Roses, I believe, are exceptional. And there might be a bit of that for sale if you're interested. I don't know. Will Australia Post let you ship it? Not quite. Not quite. So, all right, let me show you what I did manage to pick up very quickly in the last half an hour or so that I have been here. America, of course, is going through Thanksgiving and their holidays and hangovers that go along with that. So there's not a huge amount of news coming out of the States at the moment. The big thing that is coming out of the States is the price of gold and silver. We'll get to that shortly. But more than 415,000 permanent and long-term arrivals have arrived in Australia in the first 9 months of this year. Does anybody want to go back and explain to me the Albanese immigration numbers he's talking? They were 200,000, were they? 285,000, I think, plus visas for school or students. These aren't student visas. These are permanent residency visas. Permanent and long-term arrivals. And they just keep flooding through our borders at a phenomenal rate. And as I said yesterday, I don't know what was going on in the Great Hall, but it was full of Sikhs. It was some kind of a festival, I guess. And look, I don't begrudge people doing things in the Great Hall. At least it's being put to use. But I think I'd probably prefer to see Aussie things happening inside there. But not yesterday. Yesterday was extremely difficult if you were looking for Aussies around Parliament House. The only ones you actually found were sitting in the gallery of the Senate or the House. And even then, we were outnumbered by Chinese, particularly. The last couple of days, there's been a high-ranking Chinese bureaucrat in Canberra, and Falun Gong had been out protesting. So too had the Chinese Communist Party Friendly Association, who I told you about the other night, had the biggest Chinese and Australian flags that I've ever seen hung on the side of the roads, and hung pristinely, regimentally, militarily, if you like. Beautiful. And every one of them made in China. The irony wasn't lost on me. The Australian flags, they're hanging lost in China. But that was very definitely, and it was interesting, given that I've been to a couple of protests now, it was very interesting to see how the Australian protests are organised versus how the Chinese protests are organised. And I've got to say, if we want to step up to the Chinese style of doing things, we've got a long way to go. I somehow think there may have been some coaxing going on in the background prior to people turning up, so that when their chants were being made, their chants were in perfect unison. It was almost like watching a Chinese military parade with that perfect kind of in-step, lockstep that they march like. Well, they were doing the same with words and singing songs. One of them, I had to take a double take, and I wasn't fast enough to think about getting my camera out and recording it. But the day that I took the photos I showed you last night of the people who were gathered out the front of Parliament House yesterday, they all started singing a song. Well, they were worded up about the song in English and Chinese, and how they wanted a robust version, a robust singing of that song. Well, they certainly got it. But as I was walking away, I actually thought somebody put a record on and was playing it backwards. It was quite strange. However, then they started singing in English, and it became perfect. It was like one voice. It was amazing. You couldn't do it without hours of training, I don't think. And that you might be able to do it at home, in front of your computer, as long as you got the timing right. But they all knew how to sing. It was just the most cat-like sounding thing I've ever heard in my life. But all power, lots of people going to protest in front of Parliament House. There were people there every day this week. Unfortunately, the only Australians were Wade and myself. Didn't see any other Australians protesting any other thing. And God knows, Australia, there are a few things out there to friggin' protest about. Wade and I have been talking for the last couple of days about being able to try and help people who have got problems, particularly in Victoria, with V&I West crossing onto their land and taking measurements for transmission lines and associated other things. The farmers don't want that. Many of them are dead set against it. And in a particular area, sort of between St Arnaud and Horsham, if you like, broadly speaking, but more between Marnoo and Shepparton, Marnoo and St Arnaud, rather, there are a lot of actions being undertaken at the moment by the locals there. And it's great to see so many farmers getting behind their mates on the land in that area. I desperately wanted to go to Victoria and try and help out a bit, and in fact was sent a link to a chat a fella had with Steve Price on Sky. I think it was yesterday or last night. And that fella, Andrew Wiedemann, and I went to school together. We were little boys, admittedly. I left Rapanya before I was 10. But I remember Andrew Wiedemann and the family. And he's now part of, or he's the chairman of one of the alliances that are working hard against these transmission towers and the access that the Victorian government has decided to give carte blanche to a bunch of bureaucrats to go onto what is good farming land and wreck it. And God knows we don't want that. So anything we can do to support, would love to be involved in that. And Wade's going to put a few feelers out. I'll be back down into Victoria in January, and I'm sure these bastards will still be trying to get onto properties then. But in the meantime, if you're watching this and you're part of any of those groups down there, through Wallaroo or Gree or Manu, Rapanyup, anywhere like that, reach out. Very happy to give you as much promotion as I can and talk to you about the issues, because they are serious. And God knows in Victoria you've had so many people treated in such a poor way. And it continues. Apparently, Jacinda Allen decided to insult you all the other day by letting every Victorian know that she still gets advice from Dan Andrews, along with Steve Bracks, who was smart enough to resign and run and get out of politics for some reason. He just woke up one day and decided, I don't want to be Premier anymore. That was a weird one. And John Brumby, who was another Labor wannabe for many, many years and managed to get in after the Jeff Kennett years from memory. So scary times for people in Victoria. There are no end of the laws that they're going to instill upon you to instigate control over you and have you do whatever they deem possible. It makes you wonder how 450 or whatever it is, 1,000 people, this lot, 415,000 permit. Why the hell would you want to come to Australia, given what they're doing to this country? It's unbelievable. And the other bit of news that's kicked up about these god-awful wind turbines is that the ones that are being produced in China are full of asbestos. That's going to make it very interesting for the farmers who've got to go and get rid of these things after they come out, fall down or collapse or burn up or do whatever they do. And then wouldn't that be just what you want? A burning turbine full of asbestos on your property. I don't know how that's going to work if you're a dairy farmer, because that could have a great impact on what your cows are eating and therefore what's going into their gut and what's going into the milk. Did nobody think this through before they decided to turn these things together? Did nobody do? I mean, it's not a big stretch to think that the Chinese use asbestos. You might remember when they started sending their cars out here. The Great Wall, I think, was the first model that came out here. They had to send them all back. Well, they didn't send them back. All the brakes had to be redone because they were asbestos brakes in them. But Australians had been driving them around for 12 or 18 months before that was made public, and there was a huge callback to get them all taken back in, get whole new brake systems put into them. But China uses asbestos extensively. They don't give a shit if it kills people. Don't care. It's really good for what we need it to do. And that would be working and housing the gearboxes in those turbines, because they can take a lot of heat. And congratulations, everyone who's got one or more of those turbines on your land. You now have a hugely significant asbestos problem. However, our good mate, Skipper Pete from far north Queensland, is an asbestos removal specialist. So rest assured, Pete, you might be getting a bigger boat in the not too distant future. Just might be possible. A couple of quotes to pull down a few of those. You might only have to pull down 2 or 3. You never just buy a huge boat and we'll sail the world together for the rest of the year. You know, in a blokey kind of way. I mean, you'll teach me how to fish. It'll be fun. I'll teach you how to be a radio person. That'll be fun. All right. May not be as fun as you think it is, but you know, we live and try. So, yeah, that's the thing with these. These Chinese-built wind farms are full of asbestos. And, boy, aren't we lucky. Some interesting news came out of Canberra. Well, actually came out of America in the last couple of days, but really hit the Australian news cycle yesterday. And that is that Donald Trump wants, particularly by name, the Australian embassy, or the American embassy here in Australia, to start looking into migrant crime rates and the crisis of migrants in Australia right now. Now, he said he's only doing this as a friend. He wants to look and see just how bad things have, become and how much worse they can probably get. And I think it's not too much of a exaggeration to believe they can get a whole heap worse. So Trump has, I guess, made a number of statements about migrants in America. And today, or just in the last few hours, he's released his re-migration plan. Now, you've got to understand that when Donald Trump releases something, whether it be on Truth Social or actually even through the White House, it may or may not happen. He might be releasing it as a catalyst to get other things done, something he can, like he did with the tariffs, he can throw huge tariffs on the table. Oh, there's one of the donkeys saying hello finally. He might be just throwing it on the table as a carrot to try and motivate people and pull it off later again. But it might also be a great motivator to get a lot more done in the country. And God knows there's a lot more needing to be done. We are, for whatever reason, still talking COVID. And there are people in our community who still believe, for whatever reason, that it was real and that we should be getting our 8th or 9th jab now, our boosters. Sadly, the Australian government is bribing national health organisations to keep the song going, so to speak. And I'm extremely disappointed to have to tell you that the National Heart Foundation has jumped in with both hands. Now, there's probably hundreds of millions of dollars in funding based around what they're doing here. But it is quite sad. They're making the excuses. After COVID-19, your risk of heart attack or stroke can double. Only if you've been jabbed. That's the bit they're not telling you. So now they're encouraging you to go and get another jab every year. Vaccines are good for you. Yeah, they've burst the bubble on vaccines. I think it's going to take another century before people will trust vaccines again and anything coming their way, particularly when they had the opportunity to come up with a real vaccine for bird flu, something that apparently terrifies the world because, it can come from birds to us so easily. Well, that could have been cured by simply taking blood samples of the 400-odd ostriches while they were still alive in Canada last week, because they had the antibodies to bird flu, and a vaccine could have been easily made from it. Does that give you an idea as to why those birds were rounded up the way they were and shot in the secret and secluded way that they were? Probably not secret enough for the Canadian government, but that's why you can't have a cure for bird flu going around, because it is the catalyst for the next pandemic. So keep an eye on that spot, folks. Bird flu is going to be the next big thing again for a pandemic, and they're going to try and squeeze us into something like that before the end of next year, I believe. Hopefully, though, before that happens, we might have a few more bucks in our pockets, particularly if you've gone and bought a little bit of silver in the last 30 years. Right now, silver is sitting at $83 or just on $83 an ounce. That's gone up $6 since the day before yesterday. And it appears to be climbing more at the moment. Now, the American markets are just starting to wake up. That price, I expect, will probably keep going up until tomorrow morning our time, when their markets will close. And the gold price and silver price will stick for, 36 hours or 26 hours or whatever it is before the markets open again on Monday morning here in Australia and New Zealand. So you can still buy online, and you can still get the price today The price you pay online is the price you pay now. Doesn't matter if it goes up $100 overnight. You won't pay that on whatever your order is with ainsliebullion.com.au. Go in there and don't forget, mention Voice of Freedom or my name, and you'll get a little discount off everything that you buy. And thank you to everybody who has left messages or left coins even for me at the various Ainslie offices. I haven't been into one in a couple of weeks. I do have to shoot into the Gold Coast one at some stage, probably early next week. And I'm looking forward to trying to catch up with the Ainslie team in Brisbane before Christmas. There may well be a Christmas party involved. I don't think I'll be invited to it, but I might just turn up anyway and see how they're faring for Christmas. Can't thank Ainslie Bullion enough for their continued support of all of us. I know they're just selling you a product, but at the end of the day, that product can have a huge impact on your life if you're able to hang on to it and watch it grow, like I know so many people have. I was speaking before about Victoria and just what a wonderful, joyous place it is to live. From January the 1st, it appears there are going to be new road laws coming into effect in Victoria. And this fella popped up on TikTok to tell us about it.
The Victorian government is releasing the toughest road laws in decades, but they're not telling anyone about it. These laws come into force January 1st next year, 2026. If you are 1 to 10 kilometres over the speed limit, you get double demerit points. If you are 20 kilometres over the speed limit, your car may be taken from you on the spot. For at least 7 days it's impounded. Then you have to go to the court, beg the judge for your car to be returned to you. They are bringing out a nationwide phone detection system with AI cameras to see if you're looking at your phone on your lap, when it's on the dashboard, it follows eye movements. If you're reading text in your car while you're sitting in your car and reading it, whether you're at a stoplight or not, you still get a fine. If you're stopped at a red light and you're texting, you'll get a fine. The first offence is $500 and 4 demerit points. Second offence and thereafter is $1,000 and suspension of your licence. Under the new regulations, if you drive more than 4 hours, it is mandatory for you to take a 30-minute rest. Cars built after 2024 have a computer logbook built in the system. Now, if you're pulled over by the police and they suspect you're driving more than 4 hours, they are able to access that computer and feed off the data. So look it up. This is coming through. It's all about revenue raising, but they're not telling anyone about it. They want a lot of people to get a lot of fines so they can come, oh, look at our money coming up. Yay.
That's exactly what it's about. Victoria is broke, so they're going to try and raise cash, and they're going to try and raise it out of everybody in Victoria any way they can. Now, I haven't checked the veracity of that. I only just saw it as I got here, and I've downloaded it, thought that's an interesting one to get out. I haven't been able to cross-check it and see whether or not everything that gentleman says is real, but it is Victorianistan we're talking about here, and I would believe every bit of it is something that those people would do. How they've been able to keep such a thing quiet to this late juncture is interesting. It indicates, if it is real, that the Victorian opposition is probably in support of this. Why would the Victorian opposition be in support of this kind of thing? Well, because the Victorian government is broke, has no money, and the only way it can get cash is by fleecing it out of its own people and anybody stupid enough to move back there. Going to have a swift talk to my daughter. The other interesting thing I found out a couple of days ago in Canberra is the amount of people leaving Victoria. Now, apparently, it's not a matter of everybody in Victoria is leaving. because everybody in Victoria can't. They've got nowhere to go or don't have the means to get out of Victoria. So there's a large number of people who are actually stuck there. But those that do have the means and the ability to sell up and piss off somewhere else are doing it, and they are doing it in huge numbers. There are tens of thousands of people a month leaving Victoria and heading to various different parts of Australia. Not widely varied, I'll admit. They're either going to Western Australia or going to Queensland. Very few of them go anywhere else. But, unless you're Desi Freeman, of course. Desi Freeman, the wandering Victorian, we all thought we might find news of Desi in the Northern Territory, but no, Desi has apparently been spotted by somebody who is absolutely positive it was him in South Africa. Not saying it's not Desi, but the police might want to send somebody over to South Africa and get a tracker, maybe, see if they can find him over there. That's only happened in the last day or so. So somebody either looks a bit like Desi or Desi's managed to make it over that way. And there's going to be the potential for a lot more Desis, and there's no point in calling these people the sovereign citizen misnomer that authorities tend to give people like that. The authorities are creating people who do not trust and will not bend the knee to their authority. They do that by being as rigid and as controlling as they can be and enforcing more and more and more of it at every opportunity. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. Now, are you expecting the police to stop it, or are you expecting the military to stop it? Are you expecting me or Sandy or Baz? I'm sure they'll be involved, but we're going to need a lot more help. A lot more help. And I know sometimes it's hard when somebody says, oh, come to Canberra, wave a flag. Look, Canberra's in the middle of nowhere by design. They don't want you going there. All right. It's really out of the way. It's a place that nobody really particularly enjoys going to. And when you get there, you just want to have a shower. I know. Horrible feelings. But it is only we, the people, that are going to be able to make differences here, folks. And, I can turn up in Canberra every day. It's not going to make 1 ounce of difference. 10 of us can turn up every day. It's not going to make any difference. 20 of us, 100 of us, not going to make any difference. We need a lot of people to turn up. And we need a lot of people to turn up on a daily basis, ongoing. And eventually, we're all going to walk into that place and make sure that the politicians inside it hear us. Things have to change. They cannot keep going this way. Surely even the most avid normies by now must be starting to cotton on that something doesn't smell right in the cheese factory. We are being screwed at every turn, and the mealy-mouthed muppets in political clothing, the Albaneses, the Bowens, and haven't they kept him out of the media since the whole COP32 blowout and the $1 billion spend for Adelaide? And the Weasley little bastard's been given a job with them too. Did you know that? So the bloke in charge of climate change is also the bloke in charge of regulating all the industry and making sure that industry progresses. I think there's going to be some changes there. I think Bowen is going to be slightly sidestepped, and personally I think he should be, one of those trees he's trying to protect, I reckon it's probably got a good limb, able to support a good strong rope. That's all. I think there should be a good day for that. Wouldn't be the only one. Would not be the only one. All right, folks, I am going to go because, like I say, I only got here, or maybe half an hour before we started the show, a little more maybe, and I've been having a bit of a chat with Sandy and Baz, but I haven't had the opportunity to go and see one donkey yet. So I'm going to go and do that. And tomorrow we will do a live from here during the day. Not exactly sure what time. I'll have to work around Sandy. What do you? Early. So it'll be in the early AM-ish. Yeah, morning time when the donkeys are awake and doing things. Because, after midday, they just lie in the bloody paddock and do nothing. Bastards. So we will do a live with the donkeys in the morning, and if I get all the gear working right, we'll have a couple of cameras to float around, so you'll get some interesting angles. And
We'll get Carl to maneuver manure.
oh, and I'm going to be manoeuvring manure. See, here's me thinking I was going to be having to look after the dickless donkey. What's his name? Zeb, the dickless donkey.
Yeah.
If you're wondering what that is, go back and watch a previous show. But it gives you an idea of just the kind of animal that needs the support of the donkey sanctuary. The story with Zeb was that they went to castrate him, and the guy who said he was a vet really wasn't a vet. He grabbed more of the meat and less of the potatoes, shall we say, and left one ball on poor old Zeb and took everything else. So I've actually written a song using AI called Zeb the Dickless Donkey. And we might even give it a run if I can dig it out. But Zeb would have been left to, well, God knows what sort of fate. And now he's got a home here for life, as does every donkey that gets onto this sanctuary. So it's just a shame that 108 at the moment. Yep.
There we have cricket.
Oh, 109-ish, nearly 7.5. Yeah, 100, right, 109-ish. Oh, God. Barry wants to show cricket off later. I'll need a bigger lens by the sound of it.
Yeah.
So we'll go and check out the donkeys. We'll spend some time with them tomorrow. And if you can't come and help in person, moving the manure, then you can go and buy a $2 ticket in our lottery. And I don't know how many tickets are left in there for this one particularly. There were less than 100, I think, last night. So we might be able to knock that over. And if we knock it over, I'll pick up an extra pile of poo or something. I don't know. Oh, Disco's come down for a bit of a look up the back. So I can't show you. It's on the laptop. You'll never see him. But rest assured, you will see a bit of Disco tomorrow. It will be a lot of fun. Yeah, poor Zeb is right, Margot. He's just one example, though. Many of the donkeys here have been abused or just abandoned when their owners have passed on or decided they had a better thing going on somewhere. I imagine a lot of them would find it very hard to give up the donkeys because they're lovely animals. But, you know, plenty of people walk away from dogs and cats as well. They get taken in, but nobody ever wonders about the big four-legged ones. Well, you know, right now we have three disabled donkeys on the property. I think there was a blind one here too.
Yep.
Yeah. So they require full-time care, essentially, some of these, and others just need a home for the rest of their life. The Donkey Sanctuary provides that, but it can only do that if they can feed them and if they can keep paying the vet bills, and that's a pretty serious issue. So if you would like to donate, you can donate direct to the sanctuary, or you can buy a $2 ticket in our lottery, and they'll get the best version of that we can possibly provide them when we sell all the tickets. So every little bit helps, folks. Every little bit helps. Thank you so much for your support, folks, everything you've done this week to help get me to Canberra and get me home again. And following along, we will put in a bit more effort over the weekend, and rest assured tomorrow anything's possible. I was having a bit of a think about Disco on the way down. I'm wearing my strongest pants, so we'll see what happens. He was pretty keen to try and gnaw through them. Anyway, folks, enjoy your time. Be safe on the roads. And the dickheads today were nominal. That's space talk for not real bad.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's